Why Warren Buffett doesn't want you to invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently the thing that's catching the attention of the world as an investment option, but one of the most successful investors, Warren Buffett, advises you not to get into this crypto with your money. But why? To find out, stick with me until the end. If you're somewhat knowledgeable about the investing world, then you know about Warren Buffett. Known as the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors of all time. And Bitcoin is getting much attention in the investing world lately. But it seems Warren Buffett doesn't really like this much-hyped cryptocurrency. Actually, rat poison squared, a mirage, and a gambling device are just some of the words used by this legendary investor about Bitcoin. Well, if the man made a staggering $100 billion net worth by investing, then he must know what he's talking about, right? Let's dive into the reasons why Warren Buffett does not want you to invest in Bitcoin. First, no unique value at all. The most probable reason that Warren Buffett just doesn't like Bitcoin, it's because he considers it an unproductive asset. Cryptocurrencies don't have real value, Buffett said on a CNBC interview in 2020.
Cryptocurrencies basically have no value, and they don't produce anything, so you can look at your little ledger item for the next 20 years and it says you've got X of this cryptocurrency or that.
Well, this is also the exact reason Buffett doesn't like gold. Buffett likes his assets productive. As a value investor, he invests in companies that are undervalued, produce stable and recurring cash flow, and have the ability to increase book value. To Buffett, Bitcoin doesn't produce earnings or dividends. Rather, the value of Bitcoin is simply what one person is willing to pay for it. In this regard, Bitcoin is no different than the tulip craze of 1637. If you aren't familiar with the tulip craze, let me tell you a little bit about it. In the mid-1600s, speculation drove the value of tulip bulbs to extremes. At the height of the market, the rarest tulip bulbs traded for as much as 6 times the average person's annual salary. Yes, that did happen. But in 1637, prices began to fall and never looked back up as tulip traders could no longer find new buyers willing to pay increasingly inflated prices for tulips. While Bitcoin is intended to be a digital currency, its use is still pretty limited. As Buffett sees it, Bitcoin's value becomes the optimism that someone else will be willing to pay more for it in the future than you're paying today. Number 2, Buffett only invests in what he knows. Buffett became one of the most successful investors in history by sticking with stocks he understands. One of Buffett's best investment lessons is never invest in something that you don't understand. Too many investors, especially retail investors, chase investments based on headlines and stock tips from friends. The mechanics of Bitcoin, how you mine it, and how its deregulated networks function are extraordinarily confusing, even for the tech-savvy. So it isn't surprising that Buffett takes a hard pass here. I get in enough trouble with the things I think I know about. Why in the world would I take a long or short position in something I don't know anything about? Said the legend of this investment. Here is another quote that I really liked. If you don't understand it, you get much more excited than if you understand it. You can have anything you want to imagine if you just look at something and say, that's magic. Well, it isn't that hard to imagine after this how he is that successful, is it? He prefers to invest in much stable consumer goods companies like Coca-Cola and financial service companies like American Express. He invests in stocks issued by corporations that produce something of value. In the process, they produce earnings and dividends for shareholders. Or he invests in real estate. Buffett has said repeatedly that he believes cryptocurrencies will end badly. The problem is, he has no clue when. Third, Bitcoin is a highly speculative investment. For some, Bitcoin is the single greatest investment in their lifetimes. For others, it's a speculative bubble that will crash to zero. And that makes Bitcoin a sandbox, and Buffett is the kind of person who doesn't like to play in sand. Why, you ask? Buffett isn't a speculative investor. Instead, he invests in companies that have a huge potential to become something big. While all investing involves some degree of speculation, Buffett's background is in insurance and risk mitigation. Buffett doesn't invest in high flyers. That's not his game. Actually, his game is buy and hold. Forever. He invests in companies that grow over time steadily and consistently. For example, Buffett has said Berkshire's favorite holding period is for at least 5 years. Bitcoin isn't exactly a buy and hold investment. In 2017, its price skyrocketed 1,950% to nearly $20,000. By early 2019, it had lost nearly 85% of its value. Then it finished out 2019 80% higher. And currently, it has a whopping price tag of over $55,000 per coin. But ultimately, Buffett is fine with it if you want to buy yourself some Bitcoin. Just don't call it investing. If you want to gamble, somebody else will come along and pay more money tomorrow. That's one kind of game. That is not investing. Well, nearly 80 years of investing experience enable you to create that kind of thing in your mind. Number 4, he isn't playing with his reputation. Just how much illegal activity does Bitcoin facilitate? That is a matter of widespread dispute. From the time it was launched, Bitcoin has been associated with many criminal activities. But how in 2011 it was used as the only transaction medium on darknet drug marketplace Silk Road. And then there is its use for money laundering and trafficking stolen goods, and recent reports that it's been used to finance terror plots haven't exactly been great for Bitcoin's image. As Warren Buffett took control of Berkshire Hathaway, an American multinational conglomerate holding company in 1965, he worked hard to make it one of the best in the sector. So Buffett has made it clear that he'll never tolerate anything that would jeopardize Berkshire Hathaway's reputation. A frequently quoted Buffettism: lose money for the firm and I will be understanding. Lose a shred of reputation for the firm and I will be ruthless. So, Warren Buffett advises you to invest in company stocks that have huge potential for the long term. Want to know about some? Click on the tab at the top of your screen for 5 best stocks to invest in right now to get rich in 2021. So that's it, guys. Those were the reasons why Warren Buffett does not want you to invest in Bitcoin. For those new to the channel, remember to like this video and subscribe to join the Six Figures Club and follow along on the journey to wealth.